are listening to the Jboy Show, your number one source for Auburn and the SEC.
My goal was to run through his soul and grab his heart when I run through his soul.
Kurt, Nate, Coach Dab. Those are memories.
I think we've established ourselves as, I think, the premier conference in college football.
Now, the SEC is better at the top. It's better in the middle.
The Southeastern Conference remains the premier conference.
Takes the snap. Looking for the receiver. He's got Lutz and Kirkland. Touchdown, Auburn!
Think about it. It's always been the SEC and everybody else trying to catch it.
I think this is probably the best league from a competitive venue standpoint.
They have the most capable teams. You just look at those programs, the way they recruit, how they invest.
Snap to Burrow. 3 steps. Fires. Back corner of the end zone. Over the shoulder catch. Did he hold on? He did. Justin Jefferson. Touchdown, Tiger.
And now, your host, Jboy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Recruiting Roundup edition, your favorite Wednesday podcast. A ton of stuff to talk about. We're jam-packed, obviously, with 2 of the top insiders in the game. Obviously, our boy Tay and Eli Gravitt. I'm going to start out with Tay. Tay, what is up, man? How's your week going?
Oh, it's good, man. Just trying to stay safe during this tournament.
Hey, I feel you. Well, man, let's jump into it. There's a lot of stuff going on. And you know, Philip Dukes, the guy that comes on this show a lot, that's unbelievably plugged in, put out a tweet yesterday on Small Munden, talking about, you know, how Tennessee is really gained some ground. Looks like they're leading, and you know, Georgia's right there, Auburn's right there. But kind of, what are you hearing on Small, Tay, and where do you think this is going?
I think with Smile, he's real big on relationships and his environment. He got to feel comfortable wherever he's at. And I know he's Duke touched on he can really drop the top schools today or tomorrow, and he is. And I think we might still see a summer decision, might not. But if I had to predict, I would say either this month or next month. I don't think he'll drag it out to signing day. But he might want to take his visits. I'm not really sure on that yet. But I love Robert's hit as of right now, as of today. It's a good possibility he can end up in the class. You know, anything can happen. But as of today, I know all 3 staffs at Georgia, Alabama, Auburn and Tennessee, they're all feeling good about where they sit. But as of today, I think Auburn has the best chance of signing him, getting his commitment, and he'll be a good get.
Yeah,
He went inside of Georgia. He got Owen Popo, and I think he can do the thing with Smile.
Yeah, and obviously Small is one of the top targets, if not the top target. And again, it's something where, and we've talked about it, me, you, Dukes, everybody. This is one that, again, you know, when the season happens, you know, you could really see some things. But he seems like a kid, Tay, that kind of wants to get it out of the way.
All right. Just want to take his visits so he can make sure he's making the right decision for him and his family.
Yeah. And again, you can't blame him. You can't blame the kid for that. It's just it's been a very interesting recruitment so far, and it's going to get even more interesting. And like you said, I mean, Auburn's sitting in a pretty good spot. Another guy that I want to touch on real quick that we've touched on before, and that's a guy you are thinking is probably going to end up going to Miami, and that's Mr. Kitchens. Can you kind of talk a little bit about his recruitment?
Kitchens, he's a kid from Miami. Very good kid, very good prospect. Comes from a winning school. I know he has a couple teammates from his high school. Mm-hmm. They're committed to Miami. They got Ed Reed on the staff over there, and he got a former coach that used to coach at this school, Northwestern, from Miami. So he got a lot of ties there.
Yeah.
But, I know we got him a visit right before the pandemic started. He brought him and his family. They loved it. They loved the small town vibe that Auburn gets. And the staff was telling him, we'll take care of him. You know, just focus on the school and then focus on the football. You know, you won't get in no trouble compared to going to Miami. You got a lot of parties.
A lot of distractions.
Like yeah. But as of the day, I think he might end up at Miami. It's a close call, but if I had to predict, I would say Miami just because there's too many ties there.
Yeah, and especially that area where he plays at. And, of course, we're talking about Cameron Kitchens, the safety from Northwestern down there in Miami. He's, like you said, he's got teammates that are going there. You know, obviously having Ed Reed there is probably one of the best recruiting feathers you could have in your cap. But, again, Auburn's not out of it. But like you said, though, the signs are kind of pointing to Miami. And another guy kind of moving on, and a guy that we've talked about on the show a ton, and you know I'm super high on. I think he's the best corner in the country, and that's Nyland Green. And in the pre-show you were talking about, you have a little bit more information kind of on where his recruitment is at right now.
Yeah, Nyland, he's a very long, rangy prospect. He's one of the top guys on the board, one of the top 2 or 3 guys on the board. He lives in nearby Newton, which is like maybe about 30, 45 minutes from Auburn, so it's not very far. He's another guy we got on campus right before the pandemic started. And he said Auburn has always been one of his top contenders, and that's true. And right now it's a 3-team battle with Auburn, Clemson, and now Georgia going to get involved now that they missed on Tony Grimes. But as of today, I love where Auburn sits. He's a very great prospect.
Yeah.
He's big on relationships also. And I know he got relationships with everyone on the staff, even with the head coach, Gus, all the defensive coaches, even offensive coaches.
Yeah.
And actually, his area recruiter is Larry Porter. And he has a good relationship with Larry Porter. But he's one of the top guys on the board. To me, I believe it's a Clemson and Auburn battle as of right now. You know, Georgia could get involved at their in-state school. I don't think they're going to push for them. They might not. But I love where Auburn sit today. I might say we are a leader, but you know anything can change in recruiting.
Yeah.
I think a mid-fall decision is happening for him.
Yeah, and
I think he'll commit around September.
Okay.
October, maybe.
Awesome.
I know you want to take visits first. So.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And I think you're going to see that from obviously most of the top guys. But, I mean, looking at it right now, before we move on to some other guys, Tay, I mean, if you're an Auburn fan, you have got to love where they sit with Smile Munden and Nyland Green. And if you can sign those 2 guys, those are 2 immediate impact guys. And I've said it before, I think Nyland Green's a day 1 starter at corner. But can you just kind of talk about the momentum that Auburn would get? Because, again, you know these recruits, you know, you talk to them all the time. You know who they really are. Can you kind of talk about the momentum that getting somebody like a Smile Munden and a Nyland Green would do for this class, would boost this class?
Man, it would get Auburn so much momentum. Then you already have quarterback Demetrius Davis. He's recruiting guys to Auburn, and they're listening to him. And if we happen to sign Smile, the recruiting would just take off, especially in the state of Georgia. Guys like Amarius Mims, Jonathan Jefferson. He's committed to Georgia right now. And a lot of other guys, they'll just look at that and they'll see, Auburn is on the rise now, even though we've been on the rise. But a lot of guys respect T. Will. You know, he's a recruiting coordinator.
Yeah.
So kind of when Demetrius committed to Auburn, you'll see guys hit up Auburn, see if they can get in the class.
Yeah, and you know how that goes. Great players want to play with great players, and you can really kind of feel the impact that Demetrius has had on the recruiting class already. I mean, you look at Jaden Roberts, you look at Landon King, and guys like that. But kind of going down the list, Tay, just looking at it, there's a guy we kind of talked about before in the pre-show, and that's Kamari Lassiter. Can you kind of let everybody know kind of who that is and what that situation is?
Kamari's a corner from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Not far from Tuscaloosa, Alabama Stadium. He's been one of Auburn's top targets for a while now. You just haven't heard his name a lot, but he's an in-state guy. We're pushing for him. I don't think Alabama pushing for him. I think 2 other schools are involved in this recruitment, but he's a guy that. He's the absolute tape right now. They feel like he's a high 4-star guy, even though he's raised as a 3-star, I believe. Mm-hmm. But I seen him play this past year. He got some good length on him, some good speed. He's just like an Auburn corner, a physical guy. He reminds me kind of Jamel Dean a little bit.
Okay.
Roundup. He's long just like him. He might not be as fast as Jamel, but that's my comparison for him. And I think overall this could be a very good DB class that we signed.
Yeah.
One of the good DB class that we signed in a while.
Yeah. And again, those are guys, and he's at an ACA, a kid too. He's a 3-star in 247, 4-star in rival. So he's kind of a guy that's been under the radar in recruiting, and a guy that could kind of sneak up and drop a commitment. Another guy that we've talked about a ton, and you have a very strong relationship with and are very plugged in is Kool-Aid. Whoa, where do you kind of think Kool-Aid is right now? I know he's kind of quiet and keeps everything close to the vest.
Man, Kool-Aid, nothing's really changed with him. He continues to talk to coaches daily. Even the basketball coaches also, Bruce Pearl, playing a major role there. But I know some staffs look at him as a safety kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he will make the transition to safety, but some are looking at him as a safety more than a corner.
Is that a speed thing, Tay? Is it a speed thing?
I think that's playing a major part in it. That I'm not saying he's slow in it.
Yeah, I'm not either. I just you know what I'm saying.
I think his speed is being looked at more of a safety.
Yeah. And
even the possibility of him playing wide receiver in college. I know he likes playing receiver. He likes catching balls a lot. But his future will be at corner probably. But, Auburn, I think it's still an Alabama, LSU, Auburn battle.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come down to the two in-state basketball play a major part. And him and Nyland, I think they're neck and neck at the top of the board. I think Nyland might be a little more higher just because his length and he has an Auburn corner written all over him.
Yeah, he does. He reminds me of Carlton Davis a little bit.
Oh, yeah, correct. And Kool-Aid, a decision can come anytime, but I think he's going to drag out a little bit. I feel like the longer he drags it, the better all the changes are.
Yeah, and we know you'll be right there for that one.
Visit LSU.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for a visit LSU. And the relationships, family feel. But it's also helped having Bo Nix in our corner.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up with Bo Nix and the Nix family a lot. And guy like Scoop, Jeremiah Williams in his ear. Pretty sure a lot of other Auburn commits also.
Yeah.
Some Alabama commits are in his ear, some LSU commits, and even some Georgia commits. And it's going to be a battle to the end for sure.
Yeah, and again, audience, if you didn't catch that little nugget there, you said Jeremiah's kind of been in his ear a little bit. Everybody's thinking it's going to come down to Auburn and Alabama for Jeremiah. We've talked about, we're hearing very good things about Auburn with him, and that would be another guy that would be a huge addition to the class. I know the Auburn coaches are very high on Jeremiah Williams.
Correct. Jeremiah's he's probably one of the top targets on the board. He's up there with Smile and Nyland on the board.
Yeah, I agree. I think that may be the top three.
Yeah, correct. He's a guy that could actually end up a 5-star if he has a very, very strong senior year. He's very versatile. He can play linebacker. He can play the buck. And he puts on some more weight. He can even play defensive end. But he's a guy that want to take his visits. But I think Auburn's in a good spot. They will be in a good spot up until signing day. And at the end, I think he will sign with Auburn. But right now,
I agree.
I would say Florida is the biggest threat in Alabama. Alabama is about to get a commitment for Dallas Turner today.
Mm-hmm.
They play the same position. And I think with Jeremiah and Dylan Brooks playing the same position, I think Dylan can put on some more weight. He can move over to the end.
Yeah, I agree.
Or they can leave Dylan at the buck position and move Jeremiah to a outside linebacker. There's a lot of things you can do with those guys. And, I think it's very, very, very good possibility that both of them end up in the class.
Yeah, and again, that would we're talking about a defensive class that's about as good as what Auburn has signed as compared to other classes. I mean, is about as good as Auburn has ever signed. And you talked about Dylan Brooks for a second, the Tennessee commit. Again, we keep hearing, Auburn's not out of it. Auburn's not out of it. Auburn's not out of it. I know we can't go into too much detail, but what do you think about Dylan Brooks and the whole situation that's kind of transpiring in front of our eyes?
He grew up an Auburn fan. He grew up like 30, 45 minutes from Auburn. And he's always been to Auburn games, been to a bunch of games. And I would say his commitment to Tennessee, it did not surprise Auburn. I don't think they were pushing for him at the time. But as months has gone by, we start pushing and he's listening. And the communication is still there. He's listening. He's just a guy who watched all the way up to signing day.
Yeah, that one's good.
You might not get him back until signing day, but it's just something I will keep an eye on because the communication is both mutual. And he knows what Ronnie Gardner does with developing defensive linemen, and that's very integral to him. And he just big on relationships also.
Yeah, and again, you can really see that obviously relationships are so huge in recruiting, and Auburn's done a really good job of building those relationships over time and kind of building that trust. And I think, just audience of the show, understand that you're going to see some things take place over the next couple months. They're going to make a whole lot more sense, and you'll really see how the Auburn coaching staff is trying to piece this class together. And it's very smart, in my opinion. And Tay, I think you'd agree with me, and I know Dukes would and Eli would. The way that they're doing it is pretty smart. And as we wind down here, there's two other guys that I do want to hit on real quick. For Jason from Priceville, asked me on Twitter to talk about James Williams. I hate to break your heart, Jason, but I think James Williams is going to Georgia. Tay, I feel like you feel the same.
Yeah, I believe James will go to Georgia, and Georgia been considered the favorite for months now. Mm-hmm. And you can't count out in-state Miami, but I think you want to see more from Miami on the field.
Yeah.
Before he even think about going to Miami, but I think he ended up with Kirby Smart in Georgia.
I agree. And two other guys real quick. We've talked about Rod Orr, the big offensive lineman out of Gadsden. If Auburn offers him, I think he's going to take it on the spot. Do you see him getting that offer as a legitimate possibility?
I do. I believe that offer it will come whenever Amarius Mims commits to a school, which he said he's going to commit earlier than expected. Now he's going to commit in August instead of October.
Does that help Auburn, Tay?
Me personally, I don't think it hurts. It helps Auburn because everyone knows Auburn. They recruit the best, or they're able to get guys on campus. Mm-hmm. But Auburn's been recruiting good without the whole campus visits. But with a 5-star offensive tackle like Mims, those are guys that you have to get on campus a lot. And I do think that hurt Auburn chances of signing him, but anything can happen. But I feel like when he commits, then Auburn will offer Rod Orr, and he'll commit on the spot then and there.
I agree, and he's huge.
Even the Bachmeier twins, I know it's been reported that Tommy is not communicating that much with Auburn, as much as James is. And I think that's why they haven't committed to Alabama yet, because James, he's actually thinking it. I think they have two different paths of playing time at Alabama.
Yeah.
I think Tommy has a better path at playing early than James, and James taking that into consideration. But I say James is neck and neck with Alabama and Auburn right now. Count out Texas. I do think they'll play together, but you never know.
Yeah, and again, that one would be very interesting.
They would go to separate schools. I believe Tommy will end up at Alabama, and James will end up at Auburn.
That would be huge, and James is a guy that could come in and play center instantly as a freshman. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Reese Dismukes in the way that he plays and just the aggressiveness that he plays with, and you can tell he's a leader out there, as the center. And when Auburn's good, they've had a leader at center, and you have to have it. Whether it's Ryan Pugh, I remember guys like Joe Cope, going in there and running the show. But last guy, and we're going to put a prediction out on this one today, and we hinted at this, months ago when we were saying that Landon King was going to decommit from Texas, and that's Ole Miss commit Adonai Mitchell. We're going to throw a prediction out there for him to Auburn. We're going to throw that prediction out today. Can you kind of tell us, looks like the tea leaves are falling just like we've been saying.
Yeah, Adonai, he's a guy I've been recruiting for months. They feel like he's higher. They feel like he's better than where his ranking shows, which he's on. He's just on the tip of being a 4-star right now. But he's a guy that played inside of Texas, so he plays against good competition. But he moved to Tennessee this past year, and he's a guy that's 6'3", 190, has some pretty good speed on him. He's good with jump balls. He's very, very close with D. and he's a very good prospect that we can add to the class.
Yeah. Does his film, Tay, I don't mean to cut you off, Tay, but does his film remind you a little bit of Seth Williams' film?
Exactly. Yeah. I think he's faster than Seth Williams, and I'm not really sure if I can say he's more physical than Seth right now. But, you know, as he gets into a college weight room, he'll put on that mass and muscle. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Cody Burns will coach him up, and Chad Morris also. And I feel like with the wide receiver recruiting, you know, he's the guy we want to take. And, you know, Dawson, he'll get a look at the slot. But offensively, it's the skill positions. I think Auburn's going to be done. I'm not going to say we're done recruiting there, but I think they'll wait for some senior film to go out so they can evaluate some more guys.
Yeah.
New names to pop up. Okay, you know, a lot of guys are committed now. And guys like Christian Leary.
Yeah, Shadrick Banks.
Yeah, guys like that, they're committed. So you can't just go all in on them and then forget about other guys.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, once the senior film comes out, you know, there may be some guys that they didn't know, you know, or they didn't feel like their film from the last year was good enough, and then they blow it up this year. So that's always interesting to follow. But Tay, as always, man, bring in the heat. You're not going to find this. I mean, and again, I know you're a humble guy, but I mean, you're not going to find any better recruiting information than you're going to get here with Tay, with Dukes, with Eli. It's not going to get any better, man. I really appreciate it. I know the audience does. And again, man, you don't miss. So let's keep it up, bro, and keep giving the people what they want and what they need. We really appreciate you, bro.
Oh, thanks, man. Now, I'll say one more thing.
Hell yeah.
The first star safety from Tallahassee, Alabama, Amari Harvey. You know, I reported about him last week, and Auburn's a big player with him. I'm not going to go on a limb and say we lead for him, but we're up there. We're really up there.
And he's a baller.
We're actually the school recruiting him the hardest right now. I know you like Florida State some, like LSU some, like Florida some. But I say we're up there at the top of his schools right now. He's a long way from a decision, but the next step is getting him on campus and getting him on more and more visits and make him visit for a game day this year. But we're up there with him.
Man, that would be huge and would be another jewel in the class. But Tay, tell everybody, just in case it's their first time hearing or they haven't listened, whatever, where they can find you.
Oh yeah, find my Twitter at King Tay. That's KVNGGG_TAAAY. And if you have any recruiting questions, just feel free to DM me. I don't really talk about recruiting. Well, I don't post nuggets. Just tweet it out so people can see it. I'd rather just talk about it in the DM or you guys should DM me on Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah. And again, people, how many people are with this information are telling you that you can DM them about recruiting, you know, information for free. So again, Tay, man, you're one of the best in the business, man. And like I said, can't wait to get you on here in a couple weeks because I know there's going to be some even more development action, man.
Oh, sure, man. All right. Take care, man.
All right, Tay, be good. All right, and that's part one of our recruiting roundup. Stay tuned real quickly. We're going to get Eli Gravitt in here, a little football, a little basketball. Again, you're not going to get better information than this. Coming right back at you in a second. Hello, everybody, and welcome to part two of today's absolutely log-jammed recruiting roundup. Obviously, just got done hearing some, you know, unbelievable intel from Tay, and got another guy, and I personally got to say, this guy has not missed. Whether it's been basketball or football. I believe Eli's like 11 for 11 just by himself. We're 26 to 27 overall, but I know Eli's at least 11 for 11, and that's obviously Mr. Eli Gravitt. Eli, what's up, my guy?
Hey, look, Jay, what's going on, baby? Doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. You know, Wednesday's always my favorite, so let's let's get into it because I know you've been talking to a bunch of guys, and again, if anybody follows this guy on Twitter, you see that he's actually talking to the kids, directly to the players. Has really great write-ups. You find out information on guys that you didn't know. Find out who's really involved in the recruitment from a family perspective. So Eli Gravitt's a great follow. We'll get to that later, but I want to start in the 2021 class. And a guy that you know, is an Auburn target. It's a big name guy, Javon Grigsby. He's a guy that you've talked to, that you've gotten to know really well. Kind of what do you think is going through Javon's mind right now?
Well, Jay, I was talking to Javon yesterday afternoon, and first thing, Javon's very, very phenomenal athlete. As you can tell, he's rated by a 3-star. Ron was a 247. Nobody didn't know that. He's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but I mean, he's a major athlete. I know he's becoming a major target for Auburn. I mean, he's listed at a DB, but he wants to play defense in college, and he's got a top 5 coming soon. I don't know how soon, but I know he's got a top 5 coming soon.
Yeah, and I know you know it, and I know you can't reveal it right now. Do you feel pretty good that Auburn's going to be in there?
Yes, I feel pretty confident that Auburn will be in there. Along with right now, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe Ole Miss being in there, and to be honest, I'm not really sure on the other 3, but Auburn and Ole Miss I would expect to be in there.
Definitely, and that's something that, again, with your relationship with him, this is going to be one we're going to follow to the end, and we'll have the inside scoop. Another guy, a big-time guy that we've talked about before, and really you started talking to this guy before he really started to blow up, and that's Jboy Robinson, the JUCO defensive end, the Buck.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that's on Auburn's board, is an Auburn target. Tennessee likes him a lot. Where do you think he is right now?
So I talked to Jboy. Me and Jboy have a great relationship. As you know that. I mean, you talked about it plenty of times. Me and him did as soon as we started. As soon as I did an interview with him, and we've been in contact ever since. But Jboy, last time I think I was on, I said, Tennessee had a lot of interest in him. But as of right now, I mean, I know Tennessee still showing interest in him, but I don't know how much Jboy shows interest back. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know Auburn's still a big target right now. Jboy has about 3 or 4 schools right now he's really interested in, and like I said, I think Auburn's definitely one of them. So Jboy's definitely a name to watch out for, a big name to watch out for.
Yeah, and is West Virginia in there with him too?
West Virginia is definitely got in contact with him, but I know Syracuse is real hard on him. UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio, they're real hard on him.
As these other guys start to commit, Jboy's going to shoot up these boards. So if there's a week where you see him get, about 4 or 5 SEC offers in a row, that wouldn't surprise me. He's every bit of 6'6". I believe he's around 240, didn't you say?
Yeah, I think he's listed about 252 right now. Like I told you, I think I told you last time, gained about 40 pounds when he got JUCO. So, he's a big old boy.
Yeah, and he's a guy that can run. What's crazy is I was one of the first people that offered Jboy. I was coaching up in the school in Montana. I was coaching it, so that was an interesting connection when I reached back out to him, and then you guys, like you said, hit it off, and that's when we're going to follow to the end because that recruitment is going to keep bubbling up and keep bubbling up, and kind of moving because you're in on a lot of young guys, that are coming out, in a 2 years, 3 years, and one of those guys that just got an Auburn offer, has a Tennessee offer, and that's TJ Banks from Fairhope down in Mobile. And you talked to him. How was TJ?
Another thing, TJ's a phenomenal kid. I mean, very, very obviously, very phenomenal athlete. His first 2 offers were actually Auburn and Tennessee. Okay. So to have them 2 offers come up first, I mean, this kid's supposed to blow up, coming up. Yeah. But I talked to him, and he, those are his only 2 offers right now. But he definitely plans on, taking visits and everything else back up. So I expect a big year coming from TJ, and that's definitely one I'm going to keep my eye on. So that's definitely a name to keep out for.
Yeah, it's a guy in that Fairhope program. It's one that's pumped out guys, and they do a really good job. Another guy, and he's in the 2023 class. But these next 2 guys have a chance to be top 3 players, if not the top overall player in this class. And one of them is Denzel Moore. And you've talked to Denzel multiple times. He's a guy that I know Auburn is unbelievably high on. It's a name you are going to start hearing all the time. So get ready, and you're right there from the beginning, Eli.
Mm-hmm. Denzel, he posted something yesterday on Twitter. I mean, he has a ton of offers. I think he probably has around 15 offers right now. This kid's we're talking 15, 16 years old. So, I mean, he's hitting it off right now. He plays at Meadow Creek High School in Georgia. And like I said, man, Auburn, we're really high in on him. So he's definitely a name I definitely I'm going to keep in contact with. And I can say for right now that Denzel does have interest in Auburn also. So, I mean, that's something I want to put out there.
Yeah, and I mean, he's at his age, he's 6'2", 220. He's a defensive end. You look at this offer list, and I've got it pulled up right now. I mean, you've got Auburn, Florida State, Georgia, Maryland, South Carolina, Tennessee. I mean, it's everybody. And like you said, the kid's going into his junior year. Is he a guy, Eli, that you could see being the number 1 player overall?
He's definitely a guy that I can see being up there, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the kid we're going to talk about next, I think he's got a very good shot also. But Denzel's one of them kids that, wherever he goes, it's going to be ESPN national-wide, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and he's a guy that is only going to get better. He's only going to get bigger. And when you're trying to to project these guys in the future, I mean, that frame, that ability, and the way he plays the game is just something that is you don't see from a lot of guys, especially that young. But this next guy is also
another
very,
thing on
very
Denzel,
talented.
real quick, Jake. Sorry to interrupt, but Denzel is. My take on Denzel is he's a 10th grade player with senior offers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how well-rounded Denzel is. And I can't speak highly enough about him. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's a guy you've talked to on the phone. And this next guy from Langston Hughes is also a 2023 guy that, Auburn is super high on. Everybody's super high on. And that's the DB. That's Terrence Love. You've talked to Terrence. His offer list is just as impressive. You look, Michigan, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Florida State, everybody. Is he a guy that you watch and that you've talked to? Does he remind you of anybody, or is he kind of his own guy?
Terrence, my bad, Terrence. Terrence is one of them kids that, I talk to, and it's just like, I don't know, man. There's something about it. I'm telling you, that kid right there is going to be special. Yeah. I'm telling you right now. There's no doubt about it. Terrence, he's listed as he plays wide receiver and DB in high school right now. But I'm saying this kid, he's not just average wide receiver DB. This kid he plays aggressive. He plays hard. He is a stud, and he is going to be a stud, I promise.
Yeah. Did he mention anybody that's kind of standing out right now? It's so early in these kids' recruitments, and I know our audience has seen kids commit as sophomores, and typically it changes. But is there anybody that stands out right now, or is Terrence just kind of taking it in stride?
Terrence right now, I think he's kind of taking a stride. In the end, I do think Terrence is going to be playing SEC ball for sure. Because, like I said, Terrence is just one of them kids that, he's a stud. He's one of the, I don't see how Terrence can't be a top 5 player in that class. He's just phenomenal, well-rounded.
He's 6'2", 195 right now, and that's a pretty good size coming out of your senior year. Yeah. But Eli, I know you talk to multiple guys every day because we talk about it. Who else have you kind of talked to? Who else is on your radar? And is there anything else that the audience needs to know?
I just been I've been really busy lately. So, I've been trying to get in touch with whoever I can get in touch with. I got some guys I am getting in touch with that I'm set to touch bases on. Linebacker that we're looking into, Michael Mincy. Mm-hmm. I know you heard his name before, Jake. Yeah. I'm getting in touch with him very soon. He's one of them linebackers that, we're really looking forward to, recruiting him because I know we're looking forward to getting him. So, that's definitely a name to keep an eye out on to anybody that's watching out for the recruits. So, him, and then I'm working on trying to get in touch with, I already told you this. I told you this yesterday. Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
4-star from IMG.
2021.
Yes. His offer list is insane. You can go ahead and you can, you can go look all you want to at his Rivals page, his 247's page. His offer list is insane. And, like I said, he's a big-time player I get to talk to. Another kid I didn't really mention a lot, but I need to mention, there's actually 2 of them. I talked to one kid 2 weeks ago. You remember, I remember telling you, Dane Shore from Denmark, but he transferred. He spent his last 2 years at IMG Academy.
Yeah.
He's a kid that he's a Class 22 prospect right now, and Jake, if I'm not mistaken, he has like 23 offers right now.
Yeah, he's got a bunch.
He's stud. He's got offers for everybody you can think of. Like I said, he's playing his last few years at IMG Academy. He's got real tight connections. I know he's got a tight connection with Auburn. He's going to be a stud. I know one guy had him ranked as the number 6 offensive line in his class. So,
yeah.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he's a guy, too, that I'm sure Coach Bicknell and that offensive staff is really going to zero in on, as you've seen. But, Eli, once again, great work. And again, tell everybody where they can follow you. This guy does not miss. Again, he's talking straight to the players, and he's got relationships with some of the biggest guys around, and he keeps getting more because he does such a good job. But, Eli, where can everybody find you?
Everybody can find me on Twitter at Eli Gravitt. It's pretty simple to follow me. Just type in my name, and I'm sure I'll be the first one to come up. But just give me a follow, man. And like I said, we're not going to lead you in the wrong direction. Yeah,
definitely. And if you want to DM Eli is more than happy to talk about it. There's some things he can say and some things that he can't say, but he has a really good perspective, because he's on the inside. Eli, as usual, always bringing the heat. Appreciate it, man, and hope you have a good rest of the day.
Hey, I appreciate that, Jake. Looking forward to Wednesday after next, man. I'll bring some more, I promise.
Oh, I know you will, dog. You're hunting and you find what you hunt.
Oh, you're right, man. I do my best. I try to get out to the people. I hope they appreciate it.
Oh, I know they do, Eli. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, Jay. Have a good one, man.
You too, brother.
All right, bye.
And that was one of our top insiders, Eli Gravitt. Again, you really see kind of the connection that he has, and he gets to know the recruits, and they trust him. And he's a guy that, like I said, that's not going to tell stuff that they don't want out and not put them in a bad situation. But he can give you information that a lot of people can't get because he's getting himself. And I do want to give him a shout out, Tay a shout out, Dukes a shout out, everybody out there that's associated with us, especially in the recruiting game. It's we feel like we're as plugged in as anybody, and we just really appreciate you guys joining us again on another extended recruiting roundup edition. Remember, you can find us at the Jboy Show on Twitter, at the Jboy Show on Instagram, or on YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Always thank you to the unbelievable PR people at the Investor Brand Network. You can find them at theinvestorbrandnetwork.com. And as always, shout out to Harry Potter. He's not a muggle, I promise. It's Faison in the studio, and he knows what he's doing. Appreciate you, Faison. As always, appreciate you guys. You're the best. You're the best audience in the country. Tell your friends. Let's keep growing. Let's get as big as we can get. We're never going to kind of lose that small feel that we have. I promise you guys that. But again, just keep tuning in. Tell your friends. We're going to keep bringing the juice. It's been another recruiting roundup. Hot edition of the Jboy Show. And Jboy is going. Adonai Mitchell's going to flip from Ole Miss to Auburn. We saw that, put that prediction out here. And I'm gone.